Hi guys, it's Sweeper Geek here. Today I'd like to do a review on what I think are the safest safety boots in the world. They're steel blue 382 101s and also called Hobart in black. And one of the odd things about our jobs as Sweeper Geeks is that we come across a variety of applications. So for example, you could say the toughest boots that there are the ones that the guys use underground in the mines because they've got a lot of metatarsal protection. But outside of that, and I have to leave that aside for the moment because they're not practical to use on the surface, these would be the most comprehensively safe boots on the planet. And the applications that we would go to would vary from a normal, beautifully polished floor, which has got a lot of slip risk, to floors where we need to use chemicals. So it has to be chemical resistant, it has to be slip resistant, it has to be acid resistant. And we could then the next day be standing on top of an industrial oven, which has got very hot bricks. The next day we could be on a construction site where there are nails and bolts and screws and all sorts of potentially dangerous material lying around on the floor. So we have quite a diverse job which could encompass a variety of dangers that might have one particular high threat. So let's dig in. Just as a disclaimer, I purchased these boots myself. Steel Blue did not sponsor or compensate me in any way for this review, and the opinions expressed herein are my own. Okay, so let's dive straight in. I purchased these books from an online store here in Sydney, Australia, at the Coalface Workwear. They were $170. Most of the other stores that were offering them online were a little bit more, probably about $200, but I found these guys to be the cheapest. Their service, well, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. They didn't communicate very well, but the boots arrived in not too bad a time frame, and they were as described, so I guess that's good. So this is all just the blurred paperwork in the box, some boot care tips from Steel Blue. The boots themselves, they threw in a stubby holder, or other countries, and I don't know what you call it. That's a holder for your beer. So you think you got good safety boots? Hold my beer. Here we go. Yeah, I shouldn't try and do jokes. So I just take the boots out of the box and get rid of the box. Out of the way. All right. So these boots, your first thing you'll notice is that these are ones without laces. Now, I've always had lace-up boots, except for the ones that I use in when I'm doing garden work at home. And the reason that I've had that is because I was always worried that this elastic was going to stretch. Now, I haven't had these boots long enough to give an opinion on that, and maybe I'll post an update in the comments at some, or in the blurb below at a later date. But I haven't heard anybody that I've spoken to complain about that generally in their boots. The nice thing about it is that if you're in a high dust environment, the dust doesn't get in amongst the laces and sort of make it very dirty. So when you want to clean your boots, this becomes a lot easier to wipe down. So just an overview on the boot. It's quite a nice, a bit of an odd looking boot, almost like a Dutch clog, once you've got trousers on. But I think it's very nice. It's understated, very plain, which I like. The safety features of these boots, obviously it's a safety boot, so it's got a crush-proof toe. It's got a metal insert for toe protection, and then it's got this rubberized toe cap, if you can see that, which stops the wear on the front. Now, I have had communications with Steel Blue before because I wanted them to make an ultimate boot, and I asked them why we can't put a composite in the front of these boots, as they have done with many of the other boots, so that when you go through an airport security screening, it won't set the aircraft, the metal detectors off. But they explained to me that if they do have a composite, they can't put the rubber form around it properly. They put an abrasion resistant covering on the front. I don't like that. I prefer the rubber, so that's why I went with this. So it's not a case of them not wanting to build the ultimate boot. There are just certain manufacturing limitations that you have when you put a composite one. So I went for the steel one, and just to confirm, so this one is is 200 joules. So that's the strength, the amount of pressure that this toe piece can take before it collapses. Most safety boots would be between 100 and 150. So this is at the top end of that. The sole here is nitrile. It meets all the ANSI standards for anti-resistance, anti-slip, anti-chemical, and it's also impervious to heat up to 300 degrees. Now a normal boot, good boot, would be up to about 150 degrees. This is impervious to nitrile, 300 degrees. The other great feature on this boot is that you've got an insert here, an anti-penetration insert, which is specifically why I wanted these boots. So when you're on a construction site and you step on a nail, it's not going to go through into your foot, so you're protected from there. So you've got the highest protection possible from an impact. You've got the highest protection from heat, slip, acid resistance, as is the top of the boot as well, and they're also water resistant, not waterproof, but water resistant, which is what we need. If you need to have a waterproof boot, then you'd probably move to the mining ones, but you might lose some of the other features. But I would personally wear safety gum boots if that was the case. The boot itself has got removable inner soles, which I love, because on a weekly basis I've got a couple of pairs of these and I alternate them, and you can then at the end of the week just take the soles out, throw them in the washing machine, leave them out to dry, and insert them back on Sunday night or Monday morning, and you're ready to go again. If you want to have a look just at the inside of the boot itself, you can see that it's got quite a lot of, I don't know if it's really visible on the camera, but you can see, let me just get that out of the way. You can see that there is an impact on both the heel and then on the forefront of the toe. It's a very, very comfortable boot. They're not light as boots go, they're not heavy as boots go. It's kind of a medium weight. And these tags, for those of you who've never worn ones without laces before, is to help you pull them, take the boots on and off. Just insert that back in. So it's a really great boot, almost dust-proof, I would say, just because of its construction. Solidly made, just feels good. The seams are really well sealed as well, and I know that from experience that's important to have on the boot. And it's got really good tread as well. I've tried it on a slippery steel ramp, and she's been good. So whether under wet or dry conditions on the floors, I know that it's got the Australian safety ratings, but just in practical applications, I've found it to be an excellent boot. This is, in my view, the safest safety boot that you can buy for your feet. So these are the steel blue 382-101s. I'll put a link in the blurb below to steel blue. You can have a closer look at the specifications on the boots, but don't buy it from, I don't know if they've got an online store actually. Rather, I would say at the Coalface Workwear guys, probably the best place to get it from a price point of view. There's not a massive difference in the market between them. So if you have a normal supplier, maybe go through them as well. It feels good buying an Australian, not only an Australian brand, but these are actually made in Australia, in Western Australia, near Perth, I believe. They're a great companion for any person who has to operate in high risk environments. And in terms of comfort, as I said, that's more of a sort of personal opinion, but I find them very comfortable, and they are endorsed by the Australian Physiotherapy Association. So that's a little bit objective input from that side as well. All right, thanks for watching.